Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Prize, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Del Borovic as Morgan Rolls, and Josh Halbot as Gideon Vega. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band have defeated a witch cult. Attikus lost his organic arm to the enemy. Gideon was rescued by a Sslyth. Morgan helped the group escape the ambush site. And Valentyne got Attikus a replacement arm and claimed a Crozius Arcanum for himself. But are these good omens true, or will the Archon betray these Imperial heroes? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
This is a tremendously poor showing for the Jaded Blade, sending injured witches in with what seems to be hand-me-down replacement gear. It was an interesting strategy. However, the Cult of the Beckoning Thorn, somewhat over the hill though they may be, has made short work of them. I know a lot of bookies who will be very, very unhappy tonight, but all of us will be happy, for blood has been spilt. Souls have been released. Suffering has been caused. All in all, a wonderful day in the arena. Come back next week for more witch fights. You have got a new arm for Attikus, who is recently maimed battling a member of a witch cult who broke a bunch of shards of a Hydra gauntlet off in his shoulder and then ripped his arm off. But in the service of getting this, you have also obtained a holy relic. Mm-hmm. So all in all, pretty good trip to the junk store. Mm-hmm. You're on your way back to Davros in order to cash in your, I guess, favor his debt for dealing with Sileus's upstart cults. With the defeat you're hearing over the Vox radios throughout the city, it's very clear that this was a definitive and honestly pretty embarrassing defeat for Sileus and his team. And you have no doubt that Davros will come out on top and be given back access to his citadel, which means he in turn can grant you access to the Dolmen Gate. He's got an ancient living Necron warp gate that will give you access deep inside Mars, as was the plan of the Cabal. But in the meantime, you are making your way through the mean streets of Camorra, deep in the Immaterium. And Ryan, I understand from a conversation off air that you've got a lore correction for us.
Yeah, I have a lore correction / update. Ryan is fully aware that each chapter of Space Marines has 10 chaplains. There is one per company within that. Valentyne, due to the Inquisition's spotty records on the structure of Space Marines, because I don't think they have a copy of the Codex Astartes exactly, he thinks there's just one. So there's only one Crozius Arcanum. Don't come at me, Twitter. Every chapter company has their own chaplain with their own Crozius Arcanum, etc. But he thinks there's just one. So it's 10 out of 1,000, but still.
Still pretty.
Very and I think another question that we want to make sure to track is the wound situation for Attikus. He'd had his critical injuries healed, and he's gotten his new arm. Is he healed up? Otherwise, I think there may be a chance for some psyker shenanigans, because our psyker is also injured.
Yeah, so this is something we'll deal with once we get to Davros. Even though his gang has been, his witch cult has been successful, it's not like, he's standing outside the gate to his citadel, staring down Sileus as they both wait to see Vector just come by with a big ring of keys and be like, you won, congratulations, here's your house back. Mm-hmm. So there will be some downtime, either on your way or Davros, as he's not going to immediately regain access to the citadel. So if you want to tuck in somewhere and do some healing, that's fine. Or you can risk Crime Lord Cabal Archon healing.
Yeah, I think knowing that we are going towards an Archon, and I don't know, he may be totally trustworthy, but also Vect. Valentyne would be pushing, looking to Gideon and Attikus and saying, Gideon, I know this is a somewhat complicated situation for you, as there are various tortured souls of an unnumbered variety pouring through the air. You are a bit beaten up, it appears, and the colonel is also injured. Do you think you could risk healing? My only concern is going into an ambush already injured.
No, I think I can take care of this. I feel more capable.
Excellent,
Yeah.
please.
And he'll start. There's famous last words. Yep. No, this will be chill. This will be very chill. Oh!
Take Attikus with him. Just
Fuck. Let's get a little dicey P going on here. It's always 1 red. Boop-a-doop. Attikus, you take 4 wounds off, but you take 4 strain.
okay.
Because of that. And I take 3 advantage, so I can top up my... So now I would be down...
Strain out, strain in.
2, 9, that bring me back up to 12.
Thank you very much.
And then he will try it again on himself. And, oh, shit, yeah. 4 wounds healed and 5 advantage. So he slides himself some more strain back. He's feeling good. He's up to 15. And he looks, I think as he's doing it, you see he looks much more capable. The warp flows through him in a much more controlled way. There's no flares. There's no weirdness. Even the wounds, the cauterizing wounds, are healed up in a nicer way.
Less ugly burns.
Less ugly
kind of
burns. Yeah, I feel like it looks a lot more controlled. And so I'd have to take 4 strain, 5.
And is there
One,
any
so I don't
difficulty
wanna
on
be
these,
down
or are these just spend
It
strain
always is one red.
Oh, one
but
red.
that's
Nice.
it. Yeah.
Great. Very cool.
Yeah, and as they're doing the healing, Morgan will just step over to Valentyne and Inquisitor. Considering that Davros may be untrustworthy, I just wanted to note that his entire office is trapped. I can only assume his estate would be as well, so be careful where you step.
Yes, we'll all need to be rather careful. This is a point of trust. Davros is known for being straightforward. However, Sileus is at a point of absolute desperation. So even if there's not a betrayal from within the house, there may be a betrayal from without. We need to be careful about all of this. The Emperor watches over us, but at the same time, we must do our duty or we will fail him.
Morgan, can you roll a resilience check, please, at difficulty 3?
Sure. Anything else with it?
I'll give you a boost. I can't say why.
Okay. Then I will roll it.
Yeah.
A complete wash. Nothing at all.
Complete wash. Okay. Nothing happens.
Oh, that does remind Attikus of something, though. Not that something tried to happen here, but sorry, I was reminded of just before the chaos of battle spilled out, Attikus would say,
Sir, I am sorry about failing you on the bridge. However, I believe your concerns about that demon following us, they're justified. There was an episode speaking to the bridge operator, feeding him a line about uprising and whatnot. Vega here caught, I don't know, something about his essence or something coming off him, and then the old happy face showing up on one of the windows there. So we killed him, but it's here. It followed us.
Yes, I had expected as much. I've been doing more thinking on this demon, and I have my own theories, my own beliefs. We'll continue to test and see if they become true. I will not speak them aloud, for the creature may itself be listening. However, Colonel,
Yes,
you
sir.
did not fail on that bridge. You suffered an injury on that bridge that led us to a place where both our mission was achieved and we retrieved a holy relic that we otherwise would never have discovered. In fact, the Emperor's providence may have come in your injury.
Oh, I hadn't thought of it that way, sir. That's a real good point. The Emperor protects. The Emperor provides.
And he does so in ways that we may not be able to predict, ways that require sacrifice.
I understand that, sir.
Yes, the blood of martyrs oils the gears of the Imperium.
Yes, sir. Yes, it does.
Let's make sure you aren't martyred anytime soon.
yeah. And Attikus will nod at that. He's sweaty and pale. He lost a lot of blood, and he had weird Xenos poison racking his body. So
Do you need a protein brick?
well, yeah, on the page, he's fine. Strain is getting high or whatever, but that's also just side effect of the healing. I think he's a little shaken because I think it's the first time he's lost that hard in hand-to-hand combat, and he also was ready to die. So I think he has a bit of there's something that he can't quite reconcile in his brain about being pulled out of a fight before he could die fighting or kill his enemy. I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. I either kill or die for the Emperor until there's nothing left.
Yeah.
And it's like, why was I saved? Or I don't know if he can even qualify as like being saved. It's like, why was I pulled away? I must have done wrong, kind of.
Yeah. Well, I think like even the Glorious Regals, despite all their bullshit, like everyone in that unit was ready to die, and there was an infinite war. So the expectation was like, yes.
Yeah. And that's been his headspace going into any fight of like, if I die, I die. Or just like if I get critically injured and pulled away, like what is that about? Why expend the effort? What? But
Cool. I will say, because we are out of combat, you can roll to recover strain.
How do we roll to recover strain again? Is that willpower?
This
is it discipline?
recovering strain was discipline with 0 difficulty.
Yeah.
So you
Discipline?
just roll
Okay.
discipline to see how much strain you pick back up. Valentyne recovers 1 strain. So
Okay.
he has 1 strain remaining on his carryover.
Yes. I have my result as well. I've updated my sheet. 2 strain recovered.
Great.
3 strain. Gideon's topped up.
I got
He's
2
feeling
strain
good.
and I only needed 1, so I'm good.
Great.
Nice.
All right. So big relief being out of danger and in relative safety. So having healed up and having had some conversations that are like watching just two things that are supposed to connect just miss by an inch of yes, the blood of martyrs. Yeah, I agree. Those martyrs, those other people. No,
Sad face.
you you are ready to continue on to Davros if you so desire, unless you want to have any other in the belly of the beast conversations.
We don't really have like a safe house or anything. It's kind of
No, this is just we go to this place, we see if we can get in. If we can't, we kill our way as fast and as hard as we can in. There isn't really an opportunity for strategy. We don't know what's in the Citadel, and they're going to walk us through whatever fucking rooms they want.
Yep.
At this point, it's just Trin Rakai. What Valentyne would do is he would activate Trin Rakai on the road and just say, Trin, we're making our way to the Citadel now. One of our weaknesses as a group is that we cannot understand Drukhari. I'm going to put a comm bead in my pocket with you. I'm going to keep you active. If you hear them say anything that makes it clear they're trying to kill us, I need you to speak quietly. The comm bead will pick it up and we'll be able to hear you.
I understand, my lord.
I love this relationship. And he puts it in his pocket, puts a comm bead in there. So if Drukhari are whispering near us like, we should kill them. Yes, attack on 3. Theoretically, we'll be able to anticipate the most base betrayal.
Sure.
However, we've been underestimated as humans at every single turn here. So it feels like some amount of safety.
Through your comm bead, Trin Rakai is just like, I should warn you, their incredibly thick provincial accents make it somewhat difficult for me to pick up every little nuance, but I should be able to warn you if they're planning to backstab you. I wouldn't worry too much about Davros, but his court seems shady at best.
Yes, it's deeply strange that his court has stood by him loyally, even though he was very doomed to lose. I expect there is a secondary layer to this game being played by Sileus.
It's entirely possible. All right, so you make your way back sort of through these twisting, vicious streets and arrive back at kind of the warehouse area. Again, guards are out front, but this time they see you coming, and they don't salute or anything. They just move out to kind of guard you as you come in. Very much if you've ever seen like an embassy in like that is in a country where there's like an uprising or something going on, there's usually just a wall of guards outside, and if someone like who is a citizen or something shows up, they just expand to get that person and then retract back into the building. So you come back in, the Tau secretary kind of looks at you nervously and also surprised that you're still alive. Not a lot of non-human people make it in and out. His eyes kind of dart to your arm, Attikus, but he says nothing. And you're brought back up to the office. This time there's music playing as you enter, and it's kind of horrible and discordant, sort of like, anytime Star Trek goes to a scary planet, there's usually like a marketplace where there's some kind of discordant sci-fi type music playing. It's unpleasant to the ear, particularly the human ear. So you're kind of exempt, Valentyne. But for the rest of you, as you all enter, it's hard not to wince just a little bit at how upsetting this is, and you can see the lensed-faced creature immediately turn and start like looking to all of you expectantly as you come in. But Davros has one of the jars on his desk open and has kind of poured it into a goblet, like not a goblet, like a tumbler, like a scotch, and just raises his cup of blood to you and says, like in Drukari, like, "Ich not!" And in the pocket says, he says, "Welcome. He forgot he has to turn his voice coder on." And you just see him go, "Y'all not. Well, hello.
Fuck.
Welcome back. It would seem that you are, in fact, capable in a way I did not anticipate. It is always nice to be proven wrong by agents who are working for you rather than against you. Wouldn't you agree, my dear?" And he turns to the woman who is walking around like with drinks herself, and you get the sense she's not like serving other people. She's doing the polite hostess thing where, you know, she's like topping up the like the dog bowl in front of the two creatures on the ground, just with like gore, like just gore soaked giblets that they like attack voraciously, their heads bashing into each other, and then just kind of retract, and she just drops a few more in. And she raises like a thin-stemmed glass that's bubbling slightly at you as you enter. Again, Morgan, no hint of the animosity you saw previously, but in very much a studied way.
Yes.
Craigstern gives Gideon a nod. Like his face is still caked in blood from the mask, but he just kind of nods to you, and again he feels a little bit of camaraderie with all of you because like you all pulled off an operation together. But yeah, there's an air of celebration. There are also a few other Drukari sort of noble type folks in here. You get the sense that a lot of the mid to low level nobles who would have fallen off are it's like
Everybody's flipping sides if they didn't.
100%,
Yeah.
So they're all there, but I think Gideon, you would notice this for sure. Probably Morgan as well, and Valentyne. I think Attikus, you might because of your courtly experience, but like it's a bit of this is a weird pull. A little bit of Mr. Burns making people crawl through a small door to get back into his office who've quit. Where it's like there's a bunch of new people here, but they are between the Urgles on the ground that are eating the raw meat and like the proper court of Davros. So they're in the room, but they're between the slavering.
They're very carved out. They got the worst spot. Yeah.
Yes, and in a like, I might just kill you for sport. You basically have to sit under the sword of Damocles for this whole party if you want back into my good graces.
Right.
Davros is of course still sitting. And he looks worse. Can I get perception checks for anyone who would be doing that for like his condition?
Yeah, I think Valentyne. If Valentyne saw Morgan watching Davros and knowing Morgan had pegged him earlier, he'd let Morgan keep an eye on him. Valentyne wants to take in the rest of this room. He's fully expecting a Sileus level betrayal at this level, and there's no way Sileus could pull that off without an inside person. So he just wants to scope out the court during this moment of distraction and show to see who he reads as suspicious, if anyone.
Okay, all right, I like that. How about you, Gideon?
I think Gideon is going to go right back to the camera guy.
Okay.
Like,
yep,
I feel like that's his, he realizes he has specific, a certain set of skills, and that's what he's going to try and focus on if he can.
Okay, great. Let's do that then.
All right, what's difficulty for us, Tom?
Ryan, your difficulty will be 2. It's a moment of distraction, so I think you've got a bit of advantage there. Morgan, I'm going to give you difficulty 2 as well because you've been observing all this previously. And Gideon, you're feeling better about your powers. You had a successful outing, so I'm going to say your difficulty is 2 as well. In terms of threat to you, Attikus, you're just like scoping out threats, I assume?
Actually, when you talked about him looking like in worse condition and if we would be watching for that, I thought initially that Attikus wouldn't, but then I remembered Morgan actually brought it up enough that we were talking about like, oh, he's missing a leg, and like, why is he hiding that? And Attikus had a whole opinion about that. So yeah, he is gonna kind of size this guy up again under like new context.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Difficulty 2 then.
Okay.
Yeah. Lots of difficulty 2s all around.
All right.
I'm going to give everyone a collective setback for talking to royals. This is our old Greybridge shit where it's just there's so much bullshit in this room and duplicity and everything else that it's just all net. Not that you're intimidated, but that there's just too many outlying factors. Of like
it's just hard to track. They're alien expressions
might
as well.
laugh at the wrong time. Like there's that sort of shit.
And Drukhari language involves as much, if it's similar to Eldari, as much physical body positioning as that, and we're going to miss that completely.
Yep. Yeah.
Everyone in this room standing so weird.
But
Hold still. Hold still when you're talking to me.
yeah, it's that classic Limp Bizkit song. Hold still while you're talking to me.
That's right.
I'm going to give a
the cult
boost.
of the Limp Bizkit is very successful.
Yeah, very, very. They love it here. They love that behind blue eyes. It's their favorite. Everybody gets a boost for Trin Rakai because he can kind of pick up on courtly talk that isn't in Gothic, because no one else would be talking in Gothic because they hate that here. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see what we got.
Attikus has 1 success and 3 advantage on his perception.
Nice.
Morgan has 4 successes, 1 advantage.
Okay.
Just scoping this guy.
Valentyne has 3 successes and 4 advantage.
Oh my god.
Gideon has just 4 advantage. He cannot crack this fucking thing.
It could be worse.
Yep, could be worse.
It could be worse.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's pull up the social spend because you guys have fucking advantage to spare.
Yeah.
I just want to know about this camera guy so bad.
Yeah.
And every time.
Secret cameraman.
Find out what your
He's a
advantage spend could
mystery.
be. You might be able to find out a secret or
Maybe.
two.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's very true.
I feel like every time Gideon looks at him, he gets a nosebleed. Just go,
Just a high pitched.
yeah, that.
All right, we got it.
Alrighty.
Okay, so I'm just going to list off a bunch of things you can spend it on. As always, if you want to make a case for something else you'd rather spend it on, I'm always happy to take those. I realize this season we've been doing a lot more table spending, but I think that's largely due to like suddenly having a psyker at the table really makes things a bit different.
Hell yeah.
But it's also kind of a fun way to engage with the Genesis system kind of rules as written. But I don't want to lose sight of like, as we've been doing, I want to spend my 3 advantage to like
Narrative.
have had
Narrative.
a lockpick in my pocket or something. Still love that. But just so we're all on the same page with the high, particularly since you all got a bunch of advantage. So with 3 advantage, you can learn the desire or fear of the targeted character. You can successfully conceal your true goal in the encounter, or you can learn the true goal of your target if your target has one. For 2, you can learn a strength or flaw of the targeted character. You can add a setback to their next check, or you can add a boost to the next allied character's check, including that of the active character. Since initiative doesn't often happen in social combat, you might be like, oh, I'm going to talk again, so I got to throw a thing at me. And then, of course, with 1, same as usual, recover a strain, add 1 to whoever the next person is, or notice a single important point in the ongoing encounter, such as an overly curious waiter or some drapes your character can stand behind to avoid being recognized. So that one is basically notice something that can provide you a small advantage or give you a clue. It's not as useful as the higher spends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be the equivalent of, I noticed that if we're playing poker, I noticed that my opponent has a series of odd facial tics that could be a tell. I don't know if they're a tell. 2 would be, I know they have a clear tell. 3 would be, their tell is that they scratch their nose every time they have a good hand, if that kind of makes sense. Yep. Okay. So those are the basic spends, but as I said, as always, please feel free to spend as you see fit, since you all like won by 1,000,000 points. So let's go around the table. Josh, let's start with Gideon looking at camera face.
I think Gideon is going to try and squirrel that advantage into figuring out what this thing's goal is, like
Right.
what this thing is trying to accomplish. He assumes it's like maybe camera recording. He's trying to figure something out, but he's trying to figure out exactly what this thing is.
Okay. Based on what you saw at the bridge with the with Pandora kind of siphoning hope off of the bridge operator, and also the brief conversation you heard on your way out of here, I think you're able to ascertain that it is looking for strong emotion. So between like the your previous encounter, where it was looking, and then watching it kind of look at all of you as you enter the room and wince. Like, I think particularly Gideon, you probably winced coming into this, hearing this like discordant nonsense coming from Greybridge, where all the music was probably like, you know, chamber orchestra remixes of popular modern songs. It immediately like clocked that and then went back to looking around, but it's also looking over at the other nobles, and it's like constantly scanning the room. And I think spending a moment tracking that, you realize that it's trying to seek out like big reactions and big feelings.
Sure.
You don't know necessarily why, but that seems to be what it's after.
Okay. Then I can toss one more thing to another person. The next
roll.
Yeah.
Great. So that's one floating boost.
Yep. Whoever's next.
Attikus, what'd you get?
3. And I'm looking at Davros.
Davros, yep.
If I'm doing this under the context of I've learned more about this guy, I want to understand him, right? Of like, I don't get why he's so precious about hiding his limb, even though it was explained to me of like, it's like a perceived weakness and stuff like that. I think it's then to, this might be a waste, but Attikus is just curious, spend 3 to learn his goal.
Okay.
Like, what does he want?
So it would seem to you, based now on what you've seen of kind of the rest of Drukhari society, this reminds you a bit of soldiers past their prime, who, and honestly, a little bit like, if you're being introspective, which I don't think Attikus would be about this, you trying to fight your way through, like making all the doors in the apartments despite bleeding out from like a massive wound to your shoulder. But you've seen this in older soldiers before, where they still want to be on the front line. They still want to lead the charge. They want to be first through the gap, and their bodies are failing them. And so it's one of those sort of awful situations of like the spirit is willing, the brain is willing, and they used to be like the peak soldier. And I think for you, Attikus, as someone who's deeply held belief in kind of military discipline, is that the job should be done correctly. Like it should be done right. This has always been a frustrating thing because it means you sometimes get soldiers who are not fully capable anymore, physically attempting to do so. So the sense you're getting from him is that he is not ready to be done being whatever he was. Like whatever being an Archon means to him, whatever physical prowess and power he had, he's not ready to be done with that.
Okay.
The limb piece, it seems to you, is like you notice him shifting around a bit more. He's not like up and around, but he's shifting around in his chair a bit more. You get the sense that now that he's on top, the loss of the limb might be less significant to him. But nevertheless, the sense you're getting is he wants to be viewed as the picture on the door behind him. And he is not that guy anymore, but that is what he wants the world to see him as.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Valentyne.
Valentine's looking around the room. In terms of the success, is there anybody he spots that looks suspicious, fishy? They seem like a person who'd turn against? Because I think logically, looking at the roll, any advantage he'd spend would be on anybody he IDs as standing out to him as a possible threat
so
to
for
Davros.
you, it's very clear that his sort of aide is the deadliest person in this room. The fact that Morgan kind of tried to take her off the table and intercede, I think signaled to you as, you know, having someone on your team who's extraordinarily duplicitous and has a very, very high survival mentality. Whoever she's going to target is likely, if she's worried, you're worried, basically. But looking around the room, she's moving around, she's providing food for everyone, she's talking to everyone, she's making a lot of physical contact. And I think what that suggests to you, Valentyne, is she actually has a freedom of mobility within this specific environment that no one else has, and not even necessarily vocal influence, but she's everywhere in this room right now. And no one seems to be noticing or caring, which I think would read to you as probably the monsters on the floor are like physically dangerous, but the fact that there is someone controlling the food, drink, and is moving between groups is worrisome. She's not presenting any amount of threat right now that you can see, but you're looking at a static picture with one moving element.
Yeah, so if she's the one that stands out to him, then he's got some advantage to spend, but at the same time, you just told me information, so I don't want to
I would give you that for the success. The success was I can see that this one person No, in a post-COVID world / current COVID world, this is like a disease vector person. If you're looking at it that way, where it's like they're just moving around to every group, the nobles, the guards, like everyone is within her grasp right now.
Yeah, I think then the way I would pitch spending would be, because the moment he's like, that's the only one who seems like the level of betrayal she'd be capable of is truly devastating. Anybody else here can pull a gun. If it's everybody, fuck it, we ball. But otherwise, we got to do what we got to do. He wants to try to figure out between who she's talking to, if he can put together what web she has in place, what the goal, what that web could deliver. I think that's the way he's looking at, rather than just like, what's her goal? He's literally going, okay, these are the points of contact. How could that get used? Very much in his Ordo Hereticus, spot the underlying cult, spot the goal of the cult so that you can eliminate the cult. And then he'll spend his last advantage to pass a boost forwards to himself, if possible, because they're all just kind of floating. But I think narratively, it's like when he acts, he will be that bit more decisive if it's against this fucking lady or her people.
Okay. For one, you can pass it forward generically.
Oh,
for
okay,
two, you can pass it to yourself.
Then,
But,
I guess. Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
But
It'll be me or someone else.
Yeah.
Fine.
In terms of the web, again, for one,
I really just want to know her goal.
No, I
fuck
understand.
This guy over.
Yeah. Currently, it would seem that her goal is freedom of movement, or not even freedom of movement. Currently, the goal is to seemingly interact with every group in the room. That's what you're seeing visually right now. It's just like she's very consciously making an effort to go talk to people behind the Urgle crouch thing. She's giving them food. She's like running a hand down the soldier's arms, that sort of thing. She's just very like one of their forearms, very actively moving around, and the sense you get is just like pure mobility as she starts to kind of approach your group.
Yep. All right. Then Valentyne is going to engage with whatever conversation is happening. He's going to have that. The nice thing about having robot eyes is you can record the image and study it. He's just going to keep an eye on this fucking lady wherever she goes.
Gotcha. All right. And Morgan.
Yep. So I got 4 successes and 1 advantage.
Good God.
And I'm just looking at Davros. And since this lady is walking around the room doing whatever, Morgan is going to walk up right into the middle of the room and sit on that man's desk, like fully on there. So then she's not only getting a good eye view of him, but can see behind this desk a little bit, like just checking out his whole situation area. And now she has a different vantage point than anyone else in the group.
How would you like to spend your advantage?
The advantage is...
We have 2 floating boosts right now.
Right, but I'm not rolling again yet. But yes, the advantage, I would like to know one thing of just, why. You said he looks more tired?
Mm-hmm. Looks a little more gaunt.
I would like to know if it's possible to know why, like whether this is he's just old, or if it's something
I can give
outside
you
of that.
a note for one advantage. I can give you a thing for that. Okay, so you get up there, and you as you kind of like hop up on his desk, despite the kind of chemical floral scent that's in the air. You can smell kind of like a heavy sweat coming off of him. This is like a deeply hungover sweat, and it smells sickly. And again, you're not that familiar with Drukhari physiology, so you can't pull from that. But up close, you can see that he is like sweaty around the temple. It's clear that like under the armor, he must be just soaked. And so, safe to say, not age.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Yes.
And yes, up close, I mean, he's already super pale, but you can see like the blackness of his veins just a little bit through kind of like his cheek. The rings under his eyes are a bit deeper. Again, at this range, it's easy enough to tell. And again, being someone who ran a bar for a long time, like, like the career alcoholic flop sweat is like close to this, but he's not acting intoxicated beyond what you've previously seen. So there is still a bit of that like slow motion. He's very jovial and other things right now, but that's what you get.
Great.
So he again just like raises his glass and says, Valentia, make sure they all have drinks and food if you want it. I imagine you won't want what my Urguls eat because you have sensitive and delicate taste buds, and raw meat is probably not very much to your taste. But we will find you some food that your inferior palates can enjoy. I assume you do not want to drink the blood of my enemies, but perhaps we can offer you something else. Do you humans prefer Amersec? We have Vicodin. What is your drink of choice?
Amasek would be lovely, thank you.
Good. Valentia, you can do... And she's already, pouring it. And she, as she pours, she says, of course, Inquisitor Amersec for you. I should ask, I am aping the accent of your concubine. Do you prefer this accent, or would you prefer something else, perhaps more to your own voice?
Speak in whatever way you will. I leave it up to you.
I do enjoy a man who presents choice to those around him. She shoots a married couple roll of her eyes at Davros, who just waves a hand off. Says, do not mind her. She is showing off her skills with Gothic. It is not something that our kind particularly likes to do, but she's a weirdo. It's very endearing, but also slightly annoying. And it takes a sip of the blood. So yeah, she opens a fresh bottle of Amersec, so you can see does the restaurant wine thing to ensure that you see her breaking the seal. And this is an old vintage bottle. You kind of probably Morgan looking at it, you're vaguely worried about where this came from.
Right.
But regardless, pours a glass for you. And then she just does that thing that a cool host at a party does, where she grabs a fistful of glasses and the bottle and kind of looks to the rest of you. Says, do any of the rest of you desire this is a fine vintage. You will not find it anywhere else in the galaxy, I suspect, at this point, but we have our ways.
Morgan puts up a finger, just yes, and then turns the finger to wave that lady over to her.
I see someone is eager for my attention. Any of the rest of you want this before I go deal with her?
I think Gideon's okay. He's trying to keep his faculties. He knows what happens at these parties if you get a little too loopy.
Yep. All right.
Emphatically no.
Inquisitorial friends are boring and dull. This one is of interest to me, though. And she goes over and she pours you a drink and slides it over to you, and then she keeps the bottle and just raises the bottle.
Yeah, and Morgan will clink her glass against the bottle and give her raised eyebrows and take a sip, but she's faking take a sip. Her mouth is closed.
Okay.
She leans it back and then puts the glass back down.
Yep. Can you roll me a deception check?
Absolutely.
Roll for her and see if she knows.
You did not drink. I see
Not
this.
a party person.
My Sinisians means I know.
It gets weird, someone across the room notices instead. Everyone else around is she didn't drink.
What
Phony! This guy's a phony!
What difficulty?
Difficulty, I'm going to say 2.
Okay.
You're surrounded by observant, backstabby court people,
Yep.
but you're also doing something that you've done as a, bartender a million times.
Oh, absolutely.
You don't have the benefit of having the bottle that's full of water that looks like liquor you can pour for yourself, but you're pretty close. Okay, so yeah, difficulty 2. Oh, actually, you know what? Drop the difficulty. Let's do an opposed check.
Sure.
Ooh.
Hell yeah. Get a setback for weird court. I'll give you a boost for, again, career bartender. I'll also give you all the floating boost that's just to the next person.
Shit, that's
so
great.
you get a bunch of that.
Can I get a boost for being deceptive?
Sure.
Yeah.
Giving her one for that
I
too.
love
Okay,
that
that's
joy.
perfect.
Great. Okay.
All right, right.
Let's do it.
Roll it. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 advantages.
Oh, you beat my
Nice.
4 success, 1 advantage.
Ooh.
So
God
So you're
damn.
ahead by 1 success and 4 advantage.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and you can spend the advantage if you see fit.
Yes, as Morgan is oh, it's so delicious. As she looks at this lady. And
Stained
then-
mouth.
That's the social spend.
The milk mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars of wine and a milk mustache. I assume that's what Amersec is, right?
I would
It's
like to know this lady's fear.
Oh.
Okay. So you have a good eye for this stuff. So you know that this isn't a romantic jealousy by any stretch. This is a...
Morgan would think it's more professional
that's
than
it.
that.
It's 100%. It's a positional concern.
Yeah.
Which is, it's clear that Davros likes having Valentia on his team. You get the sense from him and from her that you could file the serial numbers off and it wouldn't matter. Like, as long
absolutely.
as someone is serving that purpose,
Yeah.
he's good. So there is a concern for her, up to and including aping your accent, that like she might get replaced. He also is clearly, even just from having like a Tau secretary downstairs and like not lining his room with Drukari mercenaries, he's clearly got a taste for the exotic. He
Yeah.
likes to have a mix of different things.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get the sense that a human who fits her role is probably more attractive than a Drukari who fits her role.
Yeah.
Is the fear you're currently picking up.
This is so funny to Morgan, but she is just holding that inside.
Yep.
Because Morgan is in the same boat as Valentyne of like looking for a fight to break out or something bad to happen here that will fuck up our situation. And the fact that this lady is concerned, like Morgan might take her job. It's like, oh, honey, no. Oh no.
Well, that's her current fear. That's not
Yes.
necessarily her driving
Yes.
driving purpose.
Yeah.
That's it. Can you roll me a resiliency check?
Yeah. Oh, what is
This is another mystery
Mystery
resilience check?
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. I want to make sure I'm tracking these, yeah.
difficulty?
Is there another?
Difficulty
three?
is 3. Yep.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay.
It's fun.
And anything else?
I'm going to give you 2 setback.
Ooh.
This makes this.
Also, Valentyne, did you drink your Amersec?
Oh, fuck no.
Yeah. Okay.
He's holding that shit, looking around a party. He took it to be polite.
Yes.
You could not pay him to fucking drink Drukari drinks in the betrayal garden.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Okay. This might be spicy. Yeah. 2 threat.
2 threat.
No failures, but 2 threat.
Okay. Morgan, you don't drink the drink. But you feel just like a tingle against the side of your cheek and on your hands and arms. There's like a deep flesh itch, and you are able to ignore it, but it is somewhat distracting. And looking down, you don't see any kind of visual representations of anything, but it is concerning.
And you said cheek and arms.
Cheek and arms.
So one side
Cheek,
or
arms,
both
and
cheeks?
hands. One cheek, and both your arms.
Okay. That is concerning. But we can't extricate ourselves from the situation just yet. So we have to be patient.
Truly. So, having had drinks handed out to some of you, Davros says, Mr. Inquisitor, it will take around, at least a few standard hours for me to regain access to my citadel. So you're welcome to join us in our little celebrations here. I would value the chance to perhaps gamble with you. You seem like an interesting worldly man of some sort. We have a variety of games of chance, or we could make a couple of those. And he points to the nobles. He says, a couple of them fight each other for sport or some such. And immediately there's kind of like, ha 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 ha, as they drink their drinks in concern and immediately start eyeing each other with like, who could I fuck up? And they're not, I mean, they're Drukari, so they're all in good shape, but none of these guys are like warrior folk. And he says, alternatively, if you find the comforts of my home to be somewhat distasteful to you, I'm sure we can arrange for a space for you to relax in relative privacy. My guards will, of course, be nearby, and who knows, Valentia might come and visit your one, and like you're sitting right there. So he knows him get a little bit tongue tied. He's like, you're very interesting person here, perhaps to get to know her better. I can sense a little bit of jealousy in our dear Valentia, which is a dangerous thing, Mr. Inquisitor. So you'll have to keep an eye on her, but I'm sure your good hands, capable woman here will do fine. Speaking of which, where's my gun?
The gun was lost in the completion of our mission. I figured a dark lance in return for your Arcanate was a reasonable exchange you'd be happy to make.
Oh, yes, it's fine. I was just curious. They are rather expensive, but soon I shall have access to all of my wealth again, and it won't matter. You'll have to forgive me. I'm coming off at lean times, as it were, but it would seem we're returning to feast times, for at least those of us who enjoy feasting. And it gives you, glowers at Gideon and Attikus for not imbibing.
Forgive me, my Lord Archon, for a question. Does Sslyth still live?
Oh, yes, for now, but rest assured Vecht will not be very happy with him. I suspect our dear overlord was rather looking forward to some fresh blood in the court, so this failure will seem a personal slight to him. Plus, that game was very disappointing. He did not field a very good witch cult. Can't imagine why not. Takes a sip and winks.
None of us can imagine, my lord. I have a request, perhaps, which is a different plan than those you've offered. Would you be interested in having some tremendously murderous mercenaries join your security forces? Perhaps we could boost your perimeter in case Sslyth tries one of those ever so trite last-minute betrayals or assaults. You know, the desperate kind doomed to fail.
Mr. Inquisitor, do you like it so much here that you're hoping to join my cabal?
I like it so much here, I'm looking forward to seeing your dolmen gate.
I see. So you want me to just put you into my security forces all willy-nilly so you can just be there and kill me? And the guards start to step forward a little bit.
No, I fully expect Sslyth to attempt an assault on this place, and I'd like to join your defense more actively. You are the key to everything my heart desires. Your survival is of my utmost priority. I want to make it my priority.
Can you roll me a persuasion?
Attikus is also moving to be ready when these guards are also moving to be ready. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do charm, or we could do coercion if there's the threat involved.
I'd buy charm. I don't really buy the threat, other than the threat of Sslyth, which is fair.
Yeah, that's the threat, if anything, because it's not Valentyne threatening this guy.
Go with charm. I'm going to say difficulty 1. You're making a really reasonable argument.
Okay.
He is also clearly a little understaffed right now, so it's not outside the realm. He's just naturally suspicious. I'll give you setback for dealing with weird royals. I'll give you a boost for the argument, which is very sound. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a boost for Morgan, who's clearly caught his eye. So the idea of her joining his staff is tempting.
I pitch a boost for success having eliminated a witch cult, so we've done something on his behalf.
Yeah, you've proven yourselves. Yeah, you're not just like a bunch of assholes off the street being like, trust me, we're good at fighting.
Cool. All right, let's see what happens.
Yep.
3 successes and 2 advantage.
Mr. Inquisitor, you make a very promising offer to me. I must say I am a little concerned myself that Sslyth might attempt something foolhardy. The young are like to be that, particularly those grown in tubes rather than trueborn. You really cannot trust the half-bloods of this society, Mr. Inquisitor. They are scum. Looks at the other nobles, smiles, looks back to you. So yes, if you would rather spend your evening patrolling my walls, I will of course team you up with some of my own guards to ensure you don't try anything Imperial, shall we say, knowing how distrustworthy your kind tend to be. But if you want to patrol and ensure that my idiot son does not kill me, I will not say no to that. I would ask, however, that you do not endanger this fine specimen. He gestures to Morgan. Says you can perhaps instead sacrifice the soft boy and the arm. And where did your other arm go, by the way? Did you lose it along the way?
And Attikus will look to Valentyne, who's been speaking on behalf of the band this entire time. Just look to him like, do I answer?
Valentyne, give him a nod.
Yeah.
Lost it in battle.
That is admirable. I must say I like your new prosthetic quite a bit. It is somewhat heretical in our society to wear your winged nonsense bird on it, but it does look rather good. I admit I have often wondered what I would do were I to lose a limb myself, and it is good to see that you have so quickly adapted to your new station.
It only serves to make me serve the Emperor stronger.
Good. Put this one on the guard duty. I think he's rather tough.
I wholeheartedly agree. I believe we can make excellent use of the time here. Tom, having seen this building from the outside, traditionally, like human warehouses and manufacturers are kind of smaller with the flat roof on top. What does
that's
this
what we're
place
looking
look
at.
like?
We're looking at that, except that it is lined with arena gear, because he wants to kind of show, like, here's what we build here. So the actual factory, like the manufactorum, or it wouldn't be called that because they don't use the
whatever the
Imperial Latin,
equivalent
but is out behind, and it's a much larger facility. But this is kind of the front office. So the front office, you can almost think of it like a car yard or a junkyard, except not like open air or whatever, where there's like office up front. You have to go through the office to reach the manufacturing stuff, but you don't need to worry about defending an entire factory.
No, we're just defending the office section.
Just defending the office section. So the office section itself is, again, like the image you have in your head is probably correct, except that it does have like electro grids and like spiked shit and like turrets that are kind of actively monitoring from the roof. But yes, it is a flat roof.
And there's the lift as well to get people up and
there's
down.
the lift up and down. There's the door at the back of this room that leads back into Sileus's like living quarters. This is his office where he does business when he does business. And then downstairs, you're looking at just kind of menial workers doing, moving paper from desk to desk and attaching TPS reports to the front of memos.
Valentyne would say, the interesting specimen could be placed on the roof. She is a sniper, quite capable of spotting enemies at distance between that and her cyber eagle. I could join her to guarantee she is personally protected and in no real danger, and then our more combative fellows could be placed on the ground floor to ensure that if there is an assault, they have to go through them before they can get to you.
This sounds good to me, Aldo. You should keep an eye on this one. He points at Morgan and says, she is very good at losing guns.
I will keep a close eye on her, Archon.
It is true the Inquisition lacks a sense of humor. This is good to know, I suppose. And again, he looks at Valentia, and she is having a difficult time keeping up her end of this thing because he is rough today. He is like, it's a bit easier if he's like on his game to laugh and like keep up the like, you're such a genius, but like there is nothing to work with here. So she just kind of smiles and gives him like a and he says, okay, well, that's fine. So you patrol for the night. We'll make sure Sileus doesn't attack, and then in the morning we'll make for the Citadel, and I will get you your beloved Dolmen Gate. I also have a little bonus waiting there for you that if you do a good job tonight, I will share. I was considering not giving it to you, but you did really, really fuck up my son's day, and that's pretty good for me. So Dolmen Gate and a bonus if we survive the night. That sound good?
Indeed, Lord Archon, thank you.
Well, don't thank me yet. It is a talkative gift. Okay, well, we're going to enjoy our party. You go patrol the things or whatever it is you see fit to do. And he turns off the voice coder, turns to Valentia and says something in Drukhari. And she nods and kind of goes back and gets him a little bubbling kind of concoction that she pours. It's like putting like tonic in your drink. Adds some of that to the blood. He nods, thanks her, and she kind of like just taps at his brow a little bit, makes it look like a caress, but is clearly just like dabbing his brow a bit. And he takes a sip and kind of takes a deep breath and nods and smiles at her. And as all of you make your way out of the room back into the lift to kind of go down and meet with the guard force, Trinrakai from your pocket just says, he said he was not feeling particularly well and that he needed a top-up of his medicine.
Hopefully his medicine will get him through the next 14 hours.
If I may, my lord, I don't know of anyone in Drukhari society who is particularly good at delivering medicine. I would watch that one. I think your threat may be coming from within.
Well, that's unfortunate.
And Morgan, with that, your skin begins to itch.
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Josh Halbot, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC.com. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Nithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Dragonfly, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Beef Not Cheese, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Adam, Amira Lockhart, James Molina, Nick Hemsing, Alex LaFountain, Mickey Blake, Seth Cambron, Corpse Knight Silver, Adam Mir 101, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.